Hey everyone, we are live again from Antarctica, which is super exciting. It is midnight again here at Union Glacier. Um, by the way, go ahead and turn the computer here, and that is a midnight sun once again. So the sun has never set the entire time that we've been here. Um, all right, I'm going to do my best to see here. It's incredibly bright, hard to explain, but it's like all day is magic hour. Essentially, it's feels like it's the middle of the day. In fact, I put sunscreen on so that I would not get burned at midnight while I was doing this live stream. So just imagine being in a place where you can get severe sunburn at midnight. I'm going to do my best to see the comments. Someone just asked if we are using Starlink, and the answer is yes, we are using Starlink. It has actually been phenomenal for us, which is exciting. So, a lot of things to talk about tonight, a lot of updates. I will also be thanking some people, recognizing some people. I'm going to be giving out some awards, some TFE awards. And then I'm also going to announce the winners of the 3 TFE challenges. So hopefully everyone has been looking forward to that. Before I start, I do want to say that the last 24 hours was probably the most difficult 24 hours I can remember in my life. This was just incredibly taxing. It's hard to explain, but you've got the reality of very little sleep with what we're trying to pull off here. You've got the exhaustion from the sun being up for 24 hours. You have the extreme cold that you're battling and making sure you're staying warm. You have the just the mental stress of trying to think of everything and make everything work, and remember to change batteries and check on things and make sure no one touches or bumps the tripod. So anyway, yeah, it was very difficult. Tonight we were talking just a few minutes ago, and Jaron couldn't believe that we got here yesterday, that it's only been 24 hours. It was the longest 24 hours of our lives. Just crazy what this took to accomplish. And so that's a reminder for everyone to think about the things that you ask for and the things that you state should be easy to do, which are not. Flat earthers have asked for many years for just give us a video of the 24-hour sun. And when you do, they say, well, it's not all 24 hours, and or they say it's a time lapse and not a video. It's like, you guys have no idea how difficult it was to film the sun for 24 hours in Antarctica, but we pulled it off. I personally filmed the sun from 2 different angles with my 360 camera. It might sound weird to people. How can you have angles with a 360-degree camera? But it's really 2 cameras that are like this and come together on the sides. And so that side angle we had facing different directions. And I filmed the sun for 25 and a half hours straight without interruption. And I did that at 5.7K resolution, 30 frames per second. I don't even know if that's ever been done before, to be honest with you. Usually long form videos like that are time lapses as opposed to videos. And a time lapse will take a picture every few seconds, whereas video is 30 pictures per second. So yeah, very exciting times. We obviously dealt with the crazy green screen conspiracy today. Never thought I would be accused of that one, but we dismantled that rather easily by doing back-to-back, meaning 2 people with our backs to each other. Live streams. People are already putting those on YouTube side by side to show that we couldn't have been using a green screen to pull that off. I wore a blue jacket in case somebody would say there was a blue screen, and I brought out my green water bottle and a green and red can of some Chilean Pringle type chips to show that we're definitely not using a green screen. And then I flew my drone backward and then came right back. So there is no screen. The mountain back there, which is just absolutely stunning, is Mount Rossman here in Antarctica, right by Union Glacier. That's about 4,000 to 5,000 foot peak there. And I do want to mention that I was able to drone a little bit around Antarctica today. I actually got my drone higher than I've ever flown it before, 5,000 feet. So I was actually higher than that mountain and was able to do a beautiful cinematic panorama of this area, which I will hope to release soon, one day, maybe in the next few weeks on the TFE channel. But anyway, there is a new conspiracy, surprise, surprise, which is that we are lying about the time and this being midnight. And that's not true. So again, people need to focus on asking questions. If you want to learn, that's the best way to learn. The best way to learn is to not make accusations and do Google searches and believe the first thing that you read. It's to ask questions and to be inquisitive. And that's how you learn, because then you're going to get answers and you can process those answers. So let's deal with this one now. Googling what time is it in Antarctica is not a valid question. There are 8 time zones in Antarctica, which actually makes perfectly logical sense. It's funny to me that flat earthers would think there's only one time zone when they have made Antarctica so much bigger than it really is as an island continent on the globe. There's 8 time zones. And the reason why is because the different areas and bases and stations around Antarctica are usually in touch and in communication with somewhere else in another continent. And that's where supplies come in, and that's where the people come in through. So, for example, I think McMurdo is on New Zealand time. Maybe it's Scott Base. I don't know. They're both right next to each other. But Union Glacier is on Chile time. And the reason why is because ALE runs Union Glacier, and ALE is run out of Punta Arenas, Chile. That's where their flights come out of. That's where their staff is. They have a headquarters in Salt Lake City, Utah, as they're an American company, but they have staff here in Chile. So they use that time zone for logistical and just efficient reasons. So anyway, if you look up what time it is in Chile right now, it is just past midnight. So that would be GMT -3. So last night we covered midnight as the time, which we're doing again right now. So again, there's another beautiful midnight sun. It's the second midnight sun we have broadcast live from Antarctica. And we also did a live stream yesterday at solar midnight, which is different than the midnight of time. Solar midnight is when the sun reaches its lowest point. So anyway, we're covering all our bases here. I did want to mention Steve from England. I woke up this morning with a very negative email from him. He was very upset with me for not calling him at midnight yesterday when we did the live stream. I did mention him. The reason I wasn't able to call him, which everybody should know, is because our original plan with Candace Owens was to live stream the 24-hour sun on a camera known as an X4 made by Insta360. It was going to be a 360-degree camera. Now, that camera is capable of live streaming directly to YouTube. And Mark brought it out. Mark Herman, Candace Owens' director. He practiced it back home, and it was all ready to go. And when we got out here, it did not work. So we did a little bit of research, and the reason it did not work is because you need cell service and Wi-Fi simultaneously in order to live stream with that device. We did not know that. Obviously, back in the United States, you got cell service everywhere. So he was just live streaming and it worked, and we thought it would work. And so there is no cell service in Antarctica. There are no towers in Antarctica, no cables, nothing like that. So we're able to do this through satellite internet only. So yeah, that threw a huge wrench into things, and we really wanted to do the live stream. So we pivoted, and I let them use my cell phone to do the live stream. So we took my cell phone and we kind of jerry-rigged it onto the top of a camera tripod and did the live stream that way. Now, we did it through Rumble because Candace had some big things she was getting out on her YouTube channel and didn't want to tie up her YouTube channel for 24 hours. So we used her Rumble channel to do that. And then we ran into a couple of issues. The first one was that my cell phone, Murphy's Law, asked to do a software update. And so that cut the live feed. We caught that and got it back up and running again. And then Starlink actually did an update as well. It was funny because the Starlink did an update in the middle of MC Tunes live stream, which was around 3 to 3:30 in the morning here at Union Glacier. And so I'm guessing that Starlink does updates like that at the most, ungodly hour of the night, thinking that that's when people will not be utilizing the internet and sleeping. But we're doing something pretty special and pretty historic here. So that actually cut MC Tunes live stream as well, very abruptly. So anyway, that caused an outage for a long time. And after that, we were not able to get the live stream back up and running on Rumble. Rumble, from a UI/technology standpoint, is very inferior to YouTube. And so I don't think they were able to handle it being cut out a couple of times. So anyway, that's what happened there. What we're doing is still pretty incredible. With just the technology here. And I'm just really excited that I can bring everybody with us to see the beautiful landscape and to see the midnight sun and to just get some live updates. Again, people are trying to state that this is all a studio, and that's a green screen behind me, which of course is ridiculous. I can spin around here. Somebody said today that I spin really slowly or something like that, but I can spin very, very quickly. And I can also show you the snow down here is actual snow, and you can pick it up and throw it at somebody if you want, or eat it, or whatever else you want to do. So anyway, yes, so we're trying to keep up with all the reactions/coping, whatever it may be, from what we're doing out here, but it's not stopping us. We are all very tired, but we all feel very privileged to have this opportunity and excited that we were able to pull it off. So with that, I would like to mention some names for a few different reasons. The first one is I'd like to give a shout out to Frankie. Frankie is the daughter of Cassidy, who was the runner-up in the golden ticket offer. And I felt bad. I had to choose one person out of so many people who gave entries, and I narrowed it down to the top 10, and I had to pick one out of the top 10, and Cassidy ended up coming in second place. And so I told her that I would give her daughter Frankie a shout out from Antarctica Live. So hopefully you're watching, Frankie, and you enjoy hearing your name from Antarctica. I want to thank some people individually who have been very, very helpful to me throughout this entire process. I could not have done this without so many people coming together and just volunteering their time, being available to me to do tasks, answer questions, So the first one I would like to mention is Globy McGlobeface. You can check him out on TikTok, but he's been very, very helpful with me throughout the process of creating and bringing the final experiment to where we're at today. He actually did some crowdfunding to try to get here, which didn't quite work out. But yeah, I just want to thank you, Globy, for everything that you did to help me out there. Next is Peter Markley. So Peter Markley is someone that I was introduced to this year, and he's been very helpful to me in many different ways with social media and answering questions. And so I'm sure many of you have already heard his name in this space of debating the shape of the Earth. And if you haven't, you probably will soon. Next up is a YouTuber by the name of Wolfie6020. Many of you probably know who he is. He is a pilot and very knowledgeable, and so he's been very helpful to me throughout the past year or so as I've been trying to bring all of this together to just be there to offer suggestions, answer questions, and just always be there for me. So thank you, Wolfie6020, for that. Up next is Where's Wally? So another YouTuber you can check out. He is very thoughtful and is always thinking. I think he's comes up with ideas in all hours of the night, and when he does, he sends them to me, and they're always so great. He actually created something. I believe he built it from scratch. The name he gave it is the Geronometer, and he's going to be releasing that on his channel soon. And I'm telling you right now, you have to watch his video when he releases it. You have to see exactly what it is he built. When I saw it, it was so intricate and detailed. I just couldn't believe it. I was just in awe, and I didn't even know if it would work. A lot of moving parts and a lot going on there, but it definitely worked out. And so you'll want to see that. Up next is Ruhif. You can look him up on YouTube, Roohif. Ruhif has been very helpful. He's a numbers guy. He's very, very knowledgeable. And whenever I had complicated questions about math or numbers or flight plans and flight paths, he was always there for me to help me get the data that I needed and to understand what I was trying to accomplish. So Ruhif, thank you so much for everything that you did to help me out there. And then also Danny Faulkner. Danny is an astronomer. He taught astronomy and physics, has a PhD in astronomy, and was very, very helpful. The world we live in is incredible, but it's also incredibly complex. And sometimes it's a bit hard to wrap your mind around what's going on and understanding it. And so when I had questions about the cosmos, I would reach out to him, and he would always give me great answers and help me understand it in a way that I could understand it, at least with not having a PhD in astronomy. So Danny, thank you very much. All right, I am going to give out some TFE awards right now. It's nothing physical. It's just going to be just some recognition for a couple of people that really, really, really went overboard in helping out with the final experiment. So the first one I'm calling the TFE Promoter Award. So this would have never happened had we not had people talking about it, had we not had people making videos about it and sharing it with their friends and their families and their audiences and their social media groups. And so the TFE Promoter Award goes to the Creaky Blinder. If you don't know who he is, please look him up on YouTube. Go ahead and give him a subscribe. He is knocking on the door of 100,000 subscribers. And I think with our influence, he could hit that before the end of the year, which would be amazing. So Creaky has really supported the final experiment, and he has done I just checked. He's done 51 videos on his channel promoting TFE. So thank you so much, Creaky. Really appreciate it. He comes to us all the way from Wales, which is pretty exciting. That's a place I've never visited and would love to visit one day. But can't thank you enough. Your bringing attention to the final experiment was such a huge help for us. And it was clear that you believed in us and were excited about what we were doing, because you just kept talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. So thank you so much, Creaky. Next award, I am calling the Beast Mode Award. And this one goes to Dave McKeegan, who I just noticed is standing here right next to me. So Dave McKeegan obviously came all the way out here to Antarctica with us. And I want to let everybody know he has not gone to sleep since we got to Antarctica. He brought multiple cameras, multiple tripods, and an equatorial mount, and so many other things. And he just was not willing to let that fail. And so he's like, I'm not going to go to bed. I need to make sure all of this is working and continues to work so that we get all of the data that we need. So I don't even know the exact number, but I think it's been about 40 hours since he has slept. So Dave, you have my permission to get a good night's sleep tonight.
I've thoroughly enjoyed seeing the 24-hour sun, and now I'm thoroughly looking forward to not looking at it again.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's been really great having Dave here, because there were times where, as I mentioned at the beginning, this has been the hardest 24 hours of my life, and there were times where I was just completely physically exhausted, where I was completely mentally exhausted, and I would just lay down on the floor and fall asleep. And when you do that, things can happen that are not good, that you don't want, such as batteries dying in your cameras or things going wrong. And so, without even me asking him, he kept an eye on all of my stuff and made sure everything was going well. So, thank you to Dave. All right, that brings us to the TFE challenges. So these are very, very important. These are going to end up being part of the final experiment. So what became clear to me throughout time, so this wasn't clear to me at the beginning, but what's become clear to me throughout the last year is that the final experiment was actually so much bigger than just the 24-hour sun. The final experiment is really more the final experiments, plural. There are so many other things that I didn't realize until I became more educated, such as things that we could do being at the southern tip of South America, other things that we could do in Antarctica. And so anyway, as will be clear in the coming weeks, there is a lot of data that we're going to be releasing. There were a lot of predictions made by the globe, and we'll see if those predictions came true. And there were actually a lot of predictions made by Flat Earth as well, and we're going to take a look at those predictions. So the TFE challenges were inviting people from both sides of the debate, Flat Earth and Globe, to make predictions prior to our trip. So all of these challenges were open to the general public. Anybody could have made a submission to me, but it just had to be prior to us departing for Chile for the first time. So the first challenge that we did, and this is where I'm going to need to see my screen here, hopefully. First challenge that we did was flight times. This is an important one. So I do believe, as I've hinted at in previous videos, that if we look at flight paths, we will see something that quickly tells us that we live on a globe. Flight paths have to be efficient. They have to be efficient. They have to be efficient for multiple reasons. One, so that the company can stay in business, the airline can stay in business, because they want to make that flight happen in the cheapest way possible, without sacrificing safety. So they're not going to want to just spend tons of money on extra fuel for no reason. They won't be able to stay competitive, in that regard, and they'll quickly go out of business. Flights also have to be as short as possible, again, as safely as possible. You're not going to fly an airline whose flights take twice as long or 50% as long as some other airline. That's one of the beauties of capitalism, is letting the market dictate pricing. And so it's a very competitive market, and they're all fighting for your business. And so flight paths are very, very telling. Again, I've mentioned this in the past, but my grandfather worked for Delta Airlines for his entire career. So I kind of grew up around planes, and my dad had a love of planes, and so he would always talk about them. He could just look at one up in the sky and tell me exactly what it was. I still don't have that skill, but the ability to travel by air today is just an incredible blessing that we have. And it's just completely changed the world. We can visit family that's very far away. We can visit and see so many different places in the world in a relatively short amount of time, with a relatively low amount of cost. And so the reason the flight paths for the final experiment were so important was because we were all 9 of us took a direct flight to Santiago, Chile. And all 9 of us went through one of 4 airports: LAX, Atlanta, London Heathrow, and Sydney. And so what I did is TFE challenge number 1 asked for submissions on on the distance for those flights. And the cool thing is that I had people make sure that they gave their math. Giving the math is super important, because there's a big difference between the globe and a flat Earth when it comes to flight paths. And there's especially a big difference when it comes to the southern hemisphere. I received a lot of submissions on the globe. Let's see, I received submissions from 5 different continents. So countries spanning 5 different continents, which is pretty incredible. And I received all globe submissions except for 1. I only received 1 submission on the flat Earth side. There were some people who are globers that submitted answers and numbers for what it should be on a flat Earth, which I thought was interesting. They did the math for the flat Earth side, but only 1 official flat earther made a submission. So again, there's a huge difference between the globe and the flat Earth when it comes to flight paths, especially when it gets to the southern hemisphere. So I'll tell you what the main difference was related to the final experiment. On the globe model, the flight from London to Santiago is actually longer in distance than the flight is from Sydney to Santiago. And so on a flat Earth, it's not even close. On a flat Earth, the flight from Sydney to Santiago would be 2 to 3 times as long as the flight from London to Santiago. So it's a very, very big difference. Let's see here. I am trying to read my screen. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and announce the winners for TFE challenge number 1, which again, I wanted there to be a winner from each side. The winner on the globe side was Andres Puelma. Andres, I wouldn't say that this was an unfair advantage, but he actually lives in Santiago, Chile, which is cool. So he was having to calculate the distances from those airports to his own hometown. All of the globe answers that came in were all very close to each other, which makes sense because the formula for calculating distances on a globe includes the radius of the globe. And so that's why I was asking for the math, was so that I could look and make sure that people were actually doing the math themselves and not just looking it up online. The one flat earther who made a submission, which means he wins, right? If there's a winner from the globe side and there's a winner from the flat Earth side, if there's only one flat Earth entry, that's the winner. So the winner is a Stephen Alonso. Stephen Alonso. Now, what's fascinating about this is that his numbers also were very, very close to the globe, which doesn't make sense. As I just mentioned, on a flat Earth, that flight from Sydney to Santiago should be 2 to 3 times longer than London to Santiago. But this flat earther, Stephen Alonso, said that the London to Santiago flight was longer. So this didn't make any sense. But this is why I planned ahead and said you must include your math. So I went ahead and checked his math. And what do you know? He used the radius, the average radius of the globe in his formula. But this was supposed to be a flat Earth entry, Stephen. So in asking and looking into why he was using the globe's radius to calculate his numbers, I found out that he says that the height of the firmament is the exact same number of the globe radius, which I believe is 6,371 kilometers. Very interesting, Stephen. So I think you know what I'm going to have to ask you, which is how did you measure the height of the dome? As far as I know, the dome has yet to be seen, which means it can't be measured and can't be tested. And why? And how is it that it just so happens to be the exact average radius of the globe? This smells a little fishy to me. So anyway, the second question I've got for Stephen is, can you please explain how the height of this dome would affect the flight path of an airplane? That doesn't make any sense to me. So these planes are not going that high. And so I don't quite understand what that has anything to do with it. If I had to be honest with you, I would say that you knew ahead of time that the globe numbers would be accurate. And so you wanted to essentially hijack the globe math formula and use it for yourself. And so in a sense, you kind of proved the globe by stealing the radius of the globe and stealing the globe model for your submission. So anyway, thank you for those two winners, Andres Puelma and Stephen Alonso. Thank you for taking the time to take part in TFE challenge number 1. And thanks for everyone else who did as well. Again, blown away, entries from 5 different continents. So that brings us to TFE challenge number 2. This one had to do with the sunrise and the sunset in Punta Arenas, Chile, which is where we stayed for a few days prior to flying here to Antarctica. Again, this was a very significant one because the sunrise direction is different on the globe versus the flat Earth model. The main difference is that on the globe, the sunrise should come from the southeast and it should set in the southwest. But if you look at a Gleason's map or an AE map, the sunrise down that far south, which would be beyond the Tropic of Capricorn, should be from the northeast and set in the northwest. By the way, I was watching a lot of videos from flat earthers once we got to Punta Arenas, and they were asking questions like which direction was the sun rising and which direction was the sun setting. They know the importance of this, and good on them. They probably thought if they could get a northeast sunrise and a northwest sunset, that would be evidence for flat Earth, and it would be an argument against the globe, which I agree. So before I tell you what actually happened while we were there, I received a ton of entries on this one as well, countries spanning 4 continents for this one. And I received all globe entries and only 1 flat Earth entry until the last minute. I got a second flat Earth entry. So everybody on the globe side gave sunrise times and sunset times, and then also sunrise directions and sunset directions. The winner for this one was PD194. So PD194, thank you so much for entering. He is coming from the UK, and he did a great job with showing me how he came up with this. By the way, I told people they could cheat if they wanted to and look this up online, because again, on the globe, it's the southeast and southwest, but on a flat earth, it's northeast and northwest. So it's completely different. So if you want to look it up online, that's completely fine. PD194 actually posted a video about this prior to my challenge, which I didn't realize. He made me aware of that when he sent his email. All right, now on to the two flat earth entries. The first one is from a guy who you may recognize his name, none other than Stephen Alonso. Before I get to him, I will say the second guy was a David Henry. Now, David Henry told me that he used stellarium to get his answer, which again is completely fine. You can use stellarium. But I responded to him and let him know that stellarium is a globe app. And so I was curious why he was making a submission that completely and perfectly matched the globe if he was a flat earther. He responded by asking me what we saw in while we were in Punta Arenas, and I wouldn't tell him. I just said, uh, are you willing to admit that you're submitting a globe answer as a flat earther? And he was unwilling to do so. That brings us to Stephen Alonso. Stephen Alonso told me that he expects the sun to rise in the southeast and set in the southwest, and he gave pretty accurate times. Once again, his answers aligned with the globe. We have a common theme here, ladies and gentlemen. You may recall on the channel, if you haven't seen this video, I highly recommend you go watch it. But we released a video in the last few weeks, which was challenging flat earthers to give any globe prediction at all, future prediction, that they think will not come true. The globe has thousands of predictions. This is a prediction. When the globe says on such and such a future date, at such and such a time, the sun will rise in this direction, and the sun will set at this time, and the sun will set in this direction, that is a prediction. So the globe makes lots of predictions. One of the globe predictions right now is that there will be a total solar eclipse over Orlando, Florida in 2045. And so that's a pretty specific prediction. And so I'm curious, which globe predictions do flat earthers think will not come true? If all the globe predictions come true, that would obviously be evidence of the globe. So, interesting pattern we have here. Stephen Alonso, I do know from seeing his stuff that he ascribes to the AE map, which of course has been falsified now with the final experiment. And so he gave a globe answer, even though that doesn't work on the AE map. And I don't know why. All I can do is speculate. And I speculate that he did that because he knew that the globe model would come true. Now, I will say this, the sun did rise in the southeast and it did set in the southwest, just like the globe predicts. I will also tell you that we had a very difficult time filming that. That was something that I really wanted to film, and it was very difficult. We were so far south in Chile that we were experiencing 17 hours of daylight. 17 hours of daylight. So the sun would rise around 5 a.m. or so, and it would set after 10 p.m. And so why was that? Why did that make it difficult? Well, we're on a mission here with the final experiment, and so we were doing a lot of things. We were also hanging out, and we were excited about going to Antarctica. And so when the sun's out, you're out. And so we would stay up very late, which made it very difficult to get up in the morning. And it just was a rinse and repeat cycle. One morning, I woke up at 4:45, and it was already light out. And I was like, oh, wow, maybe I could catch the sunrise. And so I ran outside and I was able to catch the sunrise for only once. There was a ton of clouds while we were there, but one time I was able to catch the sunrise. I will be releasing a video of that on my channel, and I was also able to catch a sunset as well, which we'll be releasing a video. But those videos will prove that they happen in the southeast and the southwest, just as the globe predicts. But anyway, the winner for the flat Earth side is none other than Stephen Alonso. All right, that brings us to TFE challenge number 3. Now, this one is very, very important. And again, it is a significant difference between the globe and the flat Earth model. So let me try to make this easy to understand for everyone, because these issues can be complicated. On the globe, lines of longitude at the equator are the furthest apart. As they go away from the equator, either north or south, they get closer and closer together until they eventually meet up at the poles, North Pole and South Pole. On the flat Earth model, that's not the case. On the flat Earth model, the North Pole is in the center, and then everything is south from the North Pole. And so lines of longitude diverge. They get further and further apart indefinitely on the flat Earth model. Whereas south of the equator, they converge on the globe model and they get closer and closer together. We were so far south at the southern tip of Chile that we were able to test this. We could measure between lines of longitude and see, are they getting closer together than they are towards the equator further north, or are they getting further apart, which is what you would have on a flat Earth? And so what the TFE challenge number 3 was, which was the most difficult, was we asked people to calculate for us the distance between lines of longitude, the distance between these meridians at 53 degrees south, which is where Punta Arenas, Chile is. And so we received tons of entries again that cover 4 continents, and they were all globe entries except for one flat earther, and I'm guessing you know who that is. Yes, Stephen Alonso. So all the globe entries had very similar answers, and the winner of TFE challenge number 3 is Hall Store. Hall Store. Thank you for participating. And Hall comes to us from Norway. And what is Norway? Well, Norway is the home of the midnight sun. Norway is the home of a 24-hour sun, but that would be in the north. They wouldn't, he's not having a midnight sun right now or a 24-hour sun. Why? Because we are having that right now in the south. This is the southern summer. So, Stephen Alonso, interestingly enough, what a surprise, his answer almost perfectly lined up with the globe. This doesn't make any sense. Why would he say this? And so this was getting a little bit crazy. And so I decided to email him and ask him a question. And so I did. I asked him a question and I said, Stephen, can you please help me understand your math here? Based on what I'm seeing, which by the way was globe math, I said, based on what I'm seeing, you would say that the distance between lines of longitude is the same at 53 degrees south as it is at 53 degrees north. Do I have that correct? And he said yes. So he confirmed that in his math, the distance between meridians at 53 degrees south, which is the southern tip of South America, is identical to the distance between meridians at 53 degrees north. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you know what that means. He is describing the globe. So, Stephen Alonso, you are the winner again. You get the trifecta. You won all 3 TFE challenges. But what's super interesting is that you used the globe for all 3. And I think that means you knew what we were going to find down here as part of the final experiment. Yes, super, super interesting. We are going to be releasing all of this data once we get back. We have a ton of data. I believe we have well over 100 terabytes of information already Obviously, a lot of that is high definition video and pictures, but we brought hard drives on top of hard drives on top of hard drives just to make sure we could collect all of the data that we were going to be obtaining as part of the final experiment. But anyway, spoiler alert, the distance between the lines of longitude at 53 degrees south matched the globe. They did not match flat Earth. So anyway, thank you everybody for participating in those 3 challenges. I did think it was a little interesting that well over 95% of these submissions came from the globe side, and we only had 2 people, 2 flat earthers make submissions. Stephen Alonso made 3, and the other guy made 1 using the Globe app Stellarium. But anyway, all of these things are important. They're important because we are in search of the truth about the world that we live in. That was the goal of the final experiment from day 1, was to settle this debate. That is still my goal, and I do believe we have succeeded. You may not agree, but all I would ask for is a little bit of patience and let us get back to our families, let us get back to the warmth, and let us get back into our own homes and spend some time with our families over Christmas and the New Year's, and then we can start to release all of this information. But it is a plethora of information. We have measurements, we have videos, we have so many cool things that I've never seen before. And so again, it became clear to me over time that the final experiment was going to become so much bigger than just the 24-hour sun, even though I think the 24-hour sun is definitely definitive as well. So that is all that I have. I am a little delirious. I am really looking forward to getting a good night's sleep tonight. But I am really happy that we did this and that we pushed through very hard for our first 24 hours in Antarctica. We have uninterrupted video of the sun over 24 hours, which is super, super exciting. What's on deck for us tomorrow? We have a couple more things. I would call them experiments that we have set up that take time to run. They actually take more than 24 hours or so to run. So we've got those running, and those are just going to be running through until tomorrow at midnight. But we're also going to be doing something fun tomorrow, which I think everyone that joined us, all 9 of us, are really looking forward to, which is we will be taking a scenic flight over Antarctica. It's mainly going to be over the Ellsworth mountain range, but we're going to be getting in some smaller planes, much smaller than the 757 we came over here in, and they're going to fly us over the Ellsworth mountain range and let us enjoy the beauty of Antarctica by air. So we'll be sure to get a lot of great video to share with everyone so that you can enjoy it as much as you can with us through that as well. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'll give you one more look at the midnight sun here in Antarctica, and I'll do one more spin around here so that you can take one last look at everything that we did and where we stayed. It was amazing. So we're actually leaving this campsite. All of this area behind me was just full of devices and tripods and cameras and equatorial mounts and sun trackers and you name it. But it's all been packed up, and our last 2 remaining experiments are set up over there. It's a little bit hard to see, but we'll get you good high quality video of that when we return. And we're also going to be leaving tonight. This will no longer be our special TFE camp. That orange vehicle back there is called a Tucker, and we're going to pack up right now, and they're going to take us back to Union Glacier base camp, which is where our tents will be for the next few nights or so. So I'll try to keep everybody updated. And again, just want to thank everybody for all the support, all the love for this last year. We made it, we did it, and it's gonna be fun sharing all the details with everybody. So, all right, Have a great night, everyone. Bye bye.